The following conversation is with Trevor Neal, an inspirational, God-fearing entrepreneur who has grown his Amazon FBA business, and he's done over $10 million in sales. Please enjoy this conversation with my friend, Trevor Neal.
Mr. Trevor Neal, thanks for doing this.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So at what age did you achieve financial freedom?
Oh, geez, we're rolling right into this, huh? So really financial freedom, I would say 2 years ago. Yeah.
And what did you do before that?
So before that, kind of like my story, I was in the military from '02 to 14. Got out and I did IT work and actually IT work around town. Then I just started, a side business. And eventually my side business grew and it outgrew my 9 to 5. So I just kind of gave my boss the middle finger and, worked for myself.
This was via a successful Amazon business, correct?
Yes, sir.
And how did you get into that? How did you first hear about it? How did you first come into this side business?
It really started in 2018. I was in my master's for kinesiology and sports management. And in my sports science class was a project on developing a post or pre-workout. So I did a post-workout. I put together all the ingredients, I put together my presentation, submitted it, got great feedback from the class and the instructor. So you know how the internet just reads your mind. I'd say maybe a week or 2 weeks later, I'm scrolling on Facebook and I see this ad come up, this pop-up. Hey, sell your supplements on Amazon, make $1 million. I was like, wow, man, is this my calling? So long story short, I got a hold of the company. They were a supplement company in Georgia. Pretty much they white labeled the product. And I launched on Amazon. And I didn't know nothing about advertising, Amazon in general, e-commerce, none of that. I was just expecting once it goes on Amazon, it sells because everybody's on Amazon. Well, that wasn't the case. And $15,000 later, I'm like, oh, that stuff. So kind of the positive side to that, my 9 to 5 really supplemented, my side hustle and my desire to outgrow that 9 to 5. So from there, I kind of not really gave up on myself. I tried everything and anything under the sun as far as e-commerce, drop shipping, done for you stores, anything you see out there that influencer is pushing. I done it and I failed at it. So, and just side hustle after side hustle after side hustle till I really got my footing back in Amazon. I used to do retail arbitrage. And how retail arbitrage started was I was in jiu-jitsu class and I broke my foot. I was getting ready for a competition. So with me and a broken foot, I couldn't go to the gym. I couldn't work out. I couldn't do anything. I was just stagnant. So I was on TikTok, just laying on the couch, TikToking away. And I seen these teenage kids go into Ross and TJ Maxx and essentially flip makeup and stuff for profit on Amazon. So I'm like, fuck. So I hobbled over to the computer and dumpster dove on YouTube and just really researched it and got into it. And I went out to TJ Maxx and I basically proved concept. And proven concept, I started looking for bulk buys. So bulk buys, I started looking for pallets, distributors, wholesalers. And that turned into having my own warehouse, to a prep center to where I'm just home, running things on a computer.
At what point is it a certain number or maybe a mindset that you recommend giving your boss the middle finger?
Well, definitely your side hustle has to outgrow and then some, your 9 to 5, because you always want a cushion. You don't, let's just say you make 100,000, doing IT work out in town. $100,000 is not going to be your magic number, being an entrepreneur, because you have overhead expenses, you probably have employees, health care, 401k, all these things come into place. I would say double or triple that and then have some in savings just as a kind of like a oh shit moment.
Where do most people try to copy your business model and go wrong in terms of Amazon FBA?
So as far as like a copy and paste ordeal
Yeah.
is not running ads right, optimizing their listing right, not having direct relationships with the brand. So let's just say I put together a package of Aussie hairspray with a comb, and I promote that as my own. Well, unless I don't have a direct brand relationship or a LOC, letter of, or I'm sorry, LOA, letter of authentication from Aussie, then my listing 9 times out of 10 will get shut. So these guys out there will just, they'll put together some makeshift ordeal and launch it.
And they don't have the proper documents to.
Exactly. So what happens, Amazon shuts them down and then they go on to them. It's real sloppy on their part.
At your level now, what does a bad week look like for you?
A bad week. Ooh, let's not jinx it. I would say my wholesaler's running out of products or a certain flavor of, one of my products, or I would have to pivot some way, somehow, or long shipping times because, anyone who runs Amazon FBA, you have to feed the beast. We're constantly on this cycle of feeding the beast. So if I have a delay on a shipping time or an issue with the distributor, I can't feed the beast. So if I can't feed the beast, I can't get paid.
Right. You were in the service for a decade plus, correct?
Yes.
And you're very big on giving back to veterans.
Yes.
Can you tell me about being in the service and what that teaches a young man?
I would say I could go a lot of different ways here. I would say it really builds character and it really builds resiliency. So, and resiliency really transfers over to entrepreneurship because, that's really the difference between winning and losing is resiliency. So the people that don't have resiliency, they tend to stick their thumbs up their ass and they just sit on the couch and cry. So with military backbone here, we're constantly on the move. We're pivoting on the move and whatnot. So we have resilience built in us to where entrepreneurship is not a walk in the park, but it's a lot easier for us.
And do you think you were born with resiliency or did you learn that?
No, it was definitely instilled in me, and not only in the military, but certain, things happen to me in life, lives to build that character, to build that resiliency.
What were some of the dark moments of your time in the service?
Oh, Jesus. Is this a crying episode? I don't know. How dark do you want me to get? Because I've seen some pretty dark shit.
As dark as you're comfortable.
Okay, so I was on the flight deck. This was Operation Iraqi Freedom. And I was in the Navy at first. I was in the Navy and the Army. So I worked on the flight deck and Operation Iraqi Freedom, we were probably doing 16, 17 hours a day on deck. And I used to hate it because I was a blue shirt at the time, so I chopped and chained aircrafts. And I chopped and chained so much to when I woke up in the morning, my hands were like, I felt like the Crypt Keeper. So this was night ops one time, and, the jet comes down and it catches the wire, and one of the wires snapped. And it was almost like an Indiana Jones whip. So it literally took out, I know it sliced off a guy's leg, sliced off a guy's foot. His foot actually fell in the lifeline. So the lifeline is the netting outside of the aircraft carrier. Sliced off the guy's leg went overboard, and when it sliced through the people, it acted like a whip, and it created a fire in the junkyard. So there's a specific place in the flight deck where we call the junkyard, where we place the tractor and the chocks and the extra chains. Created a fire there. So we definitely had a mass casualty. We had a walking blood bank. So when the CO calls a walking blood bank, it's everyone with like that certain type of whether you be O positive or O negative, whatever, you have to report to medical because the people that lost their limbs need that certain blood. So we were on deck and we were fighting a fire, doing a mass casualty. And then when I was in the Army, I was in a CASH unit. So a CASH is Combat Support Hospital in not Fort Dix, Fort Campbell, Kentucky. So we had, gosh, I forget what it's called now. I think it's called like Ranger Medic School. I wasn't a ranger, but we would bring in goats, pigs, and we essentially would break their legs and slash them, and we would triage them right there. So once you hear like a broken goat's leg and you hear that voice, it kind of stays in you, or slicing a pig and stitching them up like that. They don't do that now because that's obviously against PETA rules.
Right.
But yeah, that's probably the two darkest things that happened to me.
And it really put it into perspective for me, training with a lot of veterans. We used to do jiu-jitsu together.
Okay. Yeah.
That a fair amount of them come back from the service and have those moments of remembrance. Another thing that I became aware of was the VA.
Yeah.
How do you see any issues with the VA now?
The VA is fucking garbage. Okay.
Do they actively, in your eyes, do they actively do a decent job helping veterans?
I can't really honestly answer that question because I tried to avoid them as much as possible. I know VA at a point, VA was just so overrun with disability claims and veterans in general just needing help that they outsourced. President Trump on his first term actually allocated, VAs can just outsource to private doctors. So I find that as a huge win for veterans in general. That way they can see their primary doctor instead of a VA doctor.
Mm-hmm. What would you say, I know you avoid them, but what would you say the VA's biggest issue is?
Well, man, it's really hard to say. I would say healthcare, and I only say that because I had a colonoscopy done through the VA.
Ouch.
Yeah, so I have to have it done because I have a cancer has just wiped my family out.
Mm-hmm.
So I have like obviously a history, but there's a certain term that they call it. So they essentially didn't put me out. They gave me like, I hate to say it, like a date rape drug where I was just like in and out and I was groggy and I could actually feel the tube in me and I was watching the TV screen, from a foggy point. So anytime, I tell people about the VA, I tell them about my colonoscopy story and they're like, what? They didn't put you out? I was like, well, kind of, sort of, but no, man. And it felt like bad gas. I actually felt the tube in me.
Really?
So VA healthcare.
How do you explain the risk, the stress, and the long hours of a high-performing businessman to your family? Does that ever affect your personal life?
Yes, it has. When I first started gaining momentum, it was really all about the grind, and we're kind of taught that as early entrepreneurs, like, hey, we got to get this money, we have to grind. So when I really got big and I outgrew my garage, our house in general, and I had my warehouse, I was doing everything. So I was doing the prepping, the packing, the sourcing, listing creation. I was wearing multiple hats and I was just quote unquote grinding so much that, I was missing things at home. I wasn't taking my son to school as much, missing certain things with the kids or, whatever it may be. I'm sorry, I went off track.
No, how does that affect your personal life, and how do you articulate to your family that dad has to go to work, dad has to provide?
Yeah, we can edit that later. Actually, kind of caveat onto that was a book that my mentor recommended me called Who, Not How. It's not a Dr. Seuss book. It's who can I find to do this instead of how can I do it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically a smart delegation book. And that's what I did, to essentially just be home more.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's face it, anyone can put tape on boxes. I shouldn't have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's who can I find or who can I get to put tape on boxes? Who can I get to shop for me? That way I can solely work on what I can only work on.
Speaking of delegation, what would you say is the most important aspect of scale?
Low and slow. Low and slow wins the race. So think of it like the tortoise and the hare, or cooking a pot roast. We live in a society where everything's automatic, instant gratification, Netflix, Amazon, or smartphone. When we're prone to having something, we want it now. And business is not like that. So, and a lot of times, and I'll see 2 new influencers a week on social media, especially with Amazon. A lot of times we're falling in love with the finish line and not the race. Mm-hmm. So, especially in business, this is not automatic. You will make failures, or you will have failures. You will pivot. You will make mistakes. You will lose money. It goes back to the resiliency. Are you going to just cry about it and give up on yourself, or are you just going to keep going? See, the trajectory in business is not linear. It really looks like this funky TikTok dance, like to get to the.
What aspect actually drives your profit today? Is it the sourcing, the logistics, the brand, the capital management, the outsourcing?
I would say it's really a combination of both. My trademark name really resonates with children, and we'll never run out of children. So with that being said, I've optimized my listing to get the attention of busy parents, whether it be busy moms or busy dads, to where they need this product because it resonates with children, multiple times.
What's the most expensive inventory mistake you've ever made?
I would say probably my first one is around 15 grand. My supplement company, it just went under because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I had all this inventory and no way to push it. COVID happened, so I just ended up giving it all away to a gym.
With the inventory, how do you go about managing that? Is that something you outsource or you delegate, or is that something you still have your hand in?
Inventory, I solely do. So that's basically the only. I'm checking the stock on a warehouse, what needs what's selling more. And then I also have an advertising team that I work with, or that works for me as well. I used to do the advertising, but again, finding my who, not my how, I've delegated that as well. So it's just really a combination of both.
What does having enough look like for you right now as opposed to 10, 15 years ago?
Well, really, having enough is you'll get different answers from different people. And I always say the more money you make, the more shit you'll buy, honestly. But it's really what having enough is really finding your purpose, really finding work that drives you. Let's just say, feeding homeless people or something. You have to find your purpose to where it will always be a need. So that's really what having enough means to me, if that makes sense.
Do you think you found your purpose while you were building your business or before?
I think it's while I was building my business. So because I built the business to where, let's just say last year, I was only working 3 hours a week. And what really changed me, and I've been really deep diving in my faith this past year and a half, is I was basically a sloth. So, I would take care of the business and then just probably lay down, watch Netflix, or go to the gym, or do stupid shit.
Yeah.
Well, God has implanted that seed in my head for this successful business.
Mm-hmm.
So I really wasn't stewarding it well.
Mm-hmm.
So what my days look like now is, I don't have a boss. I am the boss. I can do whatever I want. So not only in my personal life, but my business as well, I make God the CEO. Like, I make sure that every step of the day is accounted for just to make him happy, because he has given me this lifestyle. He has given me money. He's constantly.
What's the next problem at your level that beginners don't even know exists?
It's money. Man, it really comes down to money. When you have a hot selling product, you need cash. And it's funny because last year I was looking for about $100,000. And buddy, actually mentors of mine, they invited me to Seattle for Amazon Accelerate. And that's a huge event that Amazon puts on once a year, and they throw a freaking $1 million party, which is phenomenal. And I went there for the sole purpose of, looking for some money. 100,000 is a lot of money to some people, and I think it was a lot of money to me at that time. So I ended up networking with a gentleman who owns Ava. It's a AI agency that does your marketing and all that jazz. And I was telling him about my problem, and he's like, "Well, what do you need? A couple million?" I was like, "Well, a couple million? Shit! You find me on a milk carton here, you give me a couple million." But I was like, "No, man, I'm just looking for 100,000." So I was able to piece together 104,000 and successfully go from around high two digits, 90,000 to 130, 140 per month. It really just boils down to capital, because Amazon is a cash machine. So that's a huge issue. Once you're successful in the e-commerce space, is getting more capital, and not only getting more capital, but leveraging it correctly.
How important have mentors been to your success?
Phenomenal. I always say you need a mentor, whatever you're doing, whether it be Amazon, 9 to 5, real estate. Give you an example, a 9 to 5 employee. Are you mentoring the new employees? Is your boss mentoring you? If it's not, probably need to look for somewhere else to go. And then in my world as well, we always need mentors. And the biggest thing is, when you're looking for a mentor, don't go like too far out of your range. So what I mean by that is, so I'm a 7-figure seller. I'm not looking for a 10 or 11-figure seller or an Elon Musk to be my mentor. I probably want an 8-figure seller who's been around probably 10 to 15 more years, around me. Mm-hmm. Someone where we can, where it's not too much of a gap.
As you know, I tried the FBA industry and I was not consistent with it. What would your message be to a person starting out and being on the keep of grind and just trying to make their first?
You just answered your own question. Consistency. Consistency beats talent every single time. And you were successful. I remember you had a successful product. You proved concept. And you just, like a lot of people, and that's the reason why I don't coach e-commerce no more, because that's one of my pet peeves. And not talking about you, but there's a lot of people who just give up on themselves. And I fucking hate it. And I had that Kobe Bryant, that Michael Jordan mentality where I failed a lot. I failed for 3 years.
Then you lost 15 grand more than I did.
Yeah. What were you losing on them little locks? $5?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, just consistency.
You teach a course on how to do this, correct? Or do you no longer do that?
I no longer do it, solely for the fact that, man, just people do not bet on themselves. And I'll give you an example. One couple that I had, it was a mother and son, awesome couple, and they were putting together a shampoo and conditioner set. And this whole time, the whole Zoom call, they're just doubting themselves. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I think they needed like maybe a couple $100 to start up. Okay. I'm not asking you to pop bottles and make it rain here. But if you don't have a couple $100, what the fuck are you going to do? There's Uber Eats, there's DoorDash, have a fucking yard sale, look in your pantry. Hey, how can I raise a couple $100 to launch this product? Mm-hmm. And the whole fucking time on Zoom, they're like, oh, what if this? What if that? Well, if we're what ifing, we're not going anywhere. And so just, man, people are so fast to just talk themselves out of things, so quickly to where, the bar for success is so low because anytime it's hard, your competition quits. Mm-hmm. And that's a perfect example. They're dwindling thoughts in their head and they just quit before they even start.
In the Amazon space, are you aware and do you know your competitors?
Yes. Yeah, and when I started it, I know what keywords they're hitting on. And with private label, you have to be different. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're just another garlic press, another Me Too product. So that's when I resignated my product geared toward kids. I was like, man, how come no one is like attacking kids here? But so that's my differentiation, if that's even a word, factor there is, man, I'm targeting not only kids, but I'm targeting convenience, targeting, the busy moms, the busy dads, the busy families where, hey, I can order this and, Julie and Johnny will be good for a month. So.
I know you're an Eagles fan.
Oh, yeah. Go Birds.
What did you think about the halftime show?
This year?
Yeah.
Okay. I liked it. Mm-hmm. I know that there was like a lot of negativity toward it. But me personally, music is music. Mm-hmm. My wife is Brazilian, so I kind of got that genre of music. And fun fact is, I like Spanish music. That's a white guy.
Me too. Aside from resiliency, in business, what defines success?
I really think it's just finding your purpose. Finding what really gets you up in the morning and serving people. And purpose doesn't, you don't have to be Mother Teresa 2.0. You don't have to go in the armpits of America and, feed the homeless or help the needy. If you do, that's great. But really, we all have God-given gifts and talents. And don't think it's running, singing, or jumping. You could be a good speaker, have a good heart, or shit, you just know how to fucking bake cakes. It's our job to identify our God-given gifts and talents and utilize it for Him. So it's really just, finding your purpose. Once you find your purpose, a lot of people chase money. Mm-hmm. And once you find your purpose, the money will chase you.
Do you think finding your purpose helps with resiliency?
No, I think resiliency is built first before you.
Tell me about your new book. You're an author, correct?
Oh, yes.
Tell me a little about that.
A little touching story. So I did put out a children's book. It's called Charlie and Ty, Find God Nearby. Sorry. And it's it's just, a simple book about my dad. Well, it's really about a boy and his dog. And it's a children's story about how God is everywhere and is in not everywhere, but in everything as well. So it was just a simple children's book I wrote right after my dad passed. Put a little memoir in there from him, to him, and then I'll picture it.
Are you a character in the book?
I am not.
You're not.
It's two fictional characters. But I am working on another book, so it's a semi-autobiography of just my life from 2017 till now. Mm-hmm. It's really good, and I'm chipping away at it every day. So release date, I don't know yet, and it's just something I've just been working on every single day.
If you would, what would the blurb of the book be in 1 or 2 sentences?
Again, it's really, really gets me. It's just how God has transformed my life. Yeah. and I say that because, man, you know, and I've read a book my therapist recommended for me. It's called God Winks.
Mm.
And I read that about a year ago. And there's no such thing as coincidences. There's always God winks. And, you know, while taking care of my dad and going back and forth, I see multiple God winks to where I know that God is working with me and through me. So, man, it's funny me talking like this because years ago, I was all about this and myself. You know, I was doing Darryl Strawberry would say heathen things. You know, I was out there, man. I was so far in left field, and God just reeled me back in. And it does real wonders to when you really let Him in you and work through you as a vessel.
What advice would you give to somebody maybe searching for a God wink?
First of all, I would say I would pick up the book and I would read it, and then let those stories resonate with coincidences that you're having, or could be in. Your mom could have liked butterflies, and your mom passed a year ago, and all of a sudden you're thinking about your mom, and a butterfly. That's not a coincidence. That's a God wink. Mm-hmm. So they're constantly sending you love from the other side as well.
Where do you still over control in your business because maybe you don't trust a person to do?
I don't.
You don't.
And that's an issue with entrepreneurs because we built this successful business to where no one can run it perfectly but us. You definitely have to have trustworthy employees, a good system, and then just have trust. Yeah, do I check in every now and then? Yeah, but I'm not micromanaging. Otherwise, shit, I might as well just be there.
Mm-hmm. How do you go about training?
So I have a great warehouse crew. I'm hands-off training. The lady does the training over there. So, and it's a well-oiled machine, I can tell you that. And she rolls the warehouse with an iron fist.
Are you very quick to hire and fire?
I don't do the hiring, firing. They do. So when I say I'm hands-off, I'm totally literally the cylinders and the engine and the gasoline and other aspects.
Money gives you freedom to do what you want when you want it, correct? Mm-hmm. What did money solve for you?
Money bought me time. I would say money brought me home. I'm able to, and I just spoke about this the other day, I'm able to drop my son off at school, pick him up, eat lunch with him. If I want a day off, I'll just, have a day off. It's able to buy me, not necessarily time, but freedom. Mm-hmm. Freedom to do that, do those activities or make those decisions.
We talk about the benefits of money. Did money make anything quietly worse for you?
I would say my lifestyle years ago. Mm-hmm. I was making a lot of money, making poor personal decisions. And, like I said, I went off left field, and then God took his fishing reel and reeled me back in. Like I said, man, I was all about myself and money. And just give you an example, we're friends and you have this podcast. I would never be here supporting you. Like, Luke, you have 2 freaking subscribers and one's your grandma, probably. And
true.
That's good, but
like and subscribe.
But that's what it's all about, man. It's the abundance mindset. Mm-hmm. And it goes back to the old saying, who you hang around with is what you'll be. And if your circle of friends or your circle in general is not uplifting you and truly wanting you to do better than them, you're not in a circle, you're in a cage. And that goes with friends and family as well. There's a lot of people that I had to cut out. Family as well, because I don't know what the fuck it is, but they do not want to see you succeed.
How do you go about that? Maybe it's a family member or a friend demanding your time, but going about saying no to things. Was that difficult for you at first?
Well, it depends on what it is. Mm-hmm. So if it really costs you your peace, then it's a hard no for me. Mm-hmm. Is it is it godly? Am I acting like, am I having abundance here? Then yes. So I've been around a while to know, what's good and what's bad, what's horseshit and what's not.
If your employees described your work ethic, what would they say?
Oh, geez. Well, my employees really don't see what's going on in the house. But I do check in, not constantly, every once in a while at the warehouse. They'll just say I'm informative and friendly, whether it be, Christmas time, I give them a bunch of gift cards. Once in a while, I'll bring them breakfast just to not, and I hate that because, well, I'm thinking of the corporate pizza party, like, hey, we made so much money, here's a pizza and a $5 tumbler. But it's just something nice, and it's only a few of them as well.
Circling back, what would your message be now to the people you maybe cut off 3, 4, 5 years ago?
Man, that's a good question, and it's funny you ask that because I often think about this in my head. It's mainly family members that I pray for them every day, and this biblical lifestyle that I'm living. It's not about how much you can love Jesus. It's how much you can love Judah or Judas. Judah?
Explain that.
So we know Judah. Is it Judah or Judas?
Judah, I believe.
Judah, yes. I forget. I was talking to a Judas earlier. So Judah actually sold out Jesus for a bag of silver. And then, I'm going to mess this whole story up. When he realized what he did, he tried to take the silver back and say, hey, don't crucify Jesus. Here's your silver. And the kings or whoever it was like, hey, it's too late. Take your silver. So you really have to love the ones that hurt you just as much as you love Jesus.
And I might have already asked this, but do you find that to be a struggle now? And did you find that to be a struggle in the beginning?
That's a struggle for everybody. I mean, that's just like, someone punching you in the face and you forgiving them. It's very hard without you retaliating. But you have to think of, look what Jesus went through. He went through torture and he got freaking crucified, obviously for us. But wow, for him to get tortured, crucified, and stabbed and tormented, and he didn't do nothing, and he could have called on his angels to save him, and he didn't do anything. That's powerful. So, we all are not perfect. Life is not fair. God is fair. It's one of my famous sayings. But it's hard, but you really need to do it.
Do you have a favorite parable or verse or passage in the Bible? Maybe one that you look to in times of doubt, struggle.
Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I'm God. And this really helped me out because it really is talking about patience. And I really had no patience years ago. I was always, okay, next product. Come on, what's next? What's next? And my mentor, mine tells me this as well. Just chill. BR where your feet are. Just live in this moment. Don't worry about tomorrow. Obviously, don't worry about yesterday. BR where your feet are, and if it happens, it's because of God's will. Maybe if it's a closed door, it's because God closed that door because he has bigger plans for you.
What were you afraid of in the start of your business that doesn't matter now when you look back?
I would say probably what people thought of me. Yeah, and we all go through this. Like, what's my mom or my dad or my brothers, sisters going to think? In all actuality, you shouldn't fucking care because
we're all going to die.
Yeah, exactly. But I would say that, what are people thinking about me? Now it's just like, I don't give a fuck.
What mistake still keeps you up at night?
I can honestly say, yeah, because of the mistakes I have made, I made good on. I repented. I gave my life to God. So I'm good in that area. Like I'm telling you, I found so much peace when I let him inside my heart. And I'm telling you, man, he's done wonders for me.
I have one final question for you, Trevor. If your kids watch this episode in 20 years, what would you want them to understand about why you worked so hard?
To give them the lifestyle that I didn't have. Obviously, when I was growing up, I pretty much comfortably said it, we were white trash, okay? It came to, we were living out of a motorhome while our house was being built in South Carolina. We moved from Jersey. And my dad was building the back garage. We didn't have any indoor plumbing. So, we were pissing and shitting in a Lowe's bucket. And to go from that to where I am now, I mean, kids, especially my kids, they're fucking privileged, and I'll tell anyone that. I mean, you've seen where I live. We have a fucking movie theater, a grotto, pool. I mean, wow, I never had that, when I was little, but that's the lifestyle that they're used to. So, and it can be taken away any single day. So, I know I kind of went off in left field there, but just what message would I have for them is just to keep on keeping on, man. Consistency.
Trevor, thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. Absolutely.